I'm Lindsey Miller. I work for LiquidWeb. We're a hosting company, and I do partner marketing management now.
And what is that?
Well, I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm the kind of the utility player is what I say, right? So I started out doing partner community stuff. We really hadn't done a lot in WordPress in this space, and they go, can you create a new partner community like with influencers and that type of thing, right? So just kind of introducing what we were doing to people in the WordPress space. It's turned into more of a marketing role, so education, which is lead generation, content management, and working with partners and helping them build their business utilizing our tools.
And so like partners are like people that use LiquidWeb or what? Yeah,
partners are people who use LiquidWeb, freelancers, agencies, anyone who's, we don't just do WordPress and WooCommerce. We're also in the manage Magento space and manage hosting and virtual private servers and things that I can't talk about intelligently at all. But so yeah, anyone who's doing work on the web and wants to take advantage of the perks of a partner program would get to work with us. Only I specialize in like the WordPress people. Yeah.
So how did you get involved with WordPress?
Well, I guess it's an interesting story. I met a guy, as all of these stories do, right?
Yeah,
like, why did you move across the country? Well, I met a person and I was romantically interested in them. So I met a guy and I was romantically interested in him, and he was in WordPress, and he introduced me into the space.
And you fell in love with it, and you're still here, right?
Yeah, I fell in love with him. And WordPress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe if there wouldn't have been him, there wouldn't have been the love for WordPress. No, I would have still fallen in love with WordPress. Yeah.
So, like, can we mention his name?
We can talk about the guy.
All right, we can talk about the guy. Fine, it's on the table. So I was going to say that I know you from WordCamps and just from interacting with you, but I also know you through your husband, Corey, who's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Corey developed iThemes, of course, and he's pretty well known for that. Have you found it hard to establish your presence and importance for the work that you do, as opposed to just being known as like that iTheme guy's wife? Yeah,
that's a really good question, and I feel like there's a little bit of a complicated answer. I think yes. Like, I can establish my own, I have my own friendships. I have people that really haven't spent much time with him, but know me better in the space, which is kind of fun and interesting. But like, honestly, I use it too. Maybe if I feel like, oh, this is a partner agency and I really want them on board, or I really want them to listen to what I have to say, maybe I'll let them know who I'm married to. But maybe strategically utilize that relationship a little bit. But other than that, I think there are probably still people that I meet at WordCamps that have no idea. I mean, Miller's a pretty common last name.
It is a pretty common last name. It's not Smith, but it's still pretty common.
Absolutely. So, but I don't know. I don't mind being allied with Corey Miller.
So we're calling married this week.
I'm totally proud of who he is and what he's accomplished, and so I think that's part of it too, right? So maybe part of the complicated answer is sometimes I don't lead with it. Hi, I am Lindsey Miller, married to Corey Miller, founder of iThemes. But if I do mention it, it probably comes from a place of pride that I'm really proud of who he is as a person and as a businessman, and so I'm okay with people knowing that too.
Like delving into Corey for just a minute. I don't want to delve on just hold on him, but I first kind of met more or less Corey at I think it's WordCamp Raleigh, when he did the keynote, and the keynote was kind of all about mental health and maintaining mental health, and like in the software business, which is something that I believe he just really expressed a concern about. And lots of us work remotely, so we're it's easy to be isolated, and it's easy to be able to misinterpret feelings or conversations because you're not face to face. And I remember he was very, very forthcoming and very he shared a lot of personal details and stuff. How did that make you feel when he said that that's what he was going to do his keynote on?
Yeah, good question. it's hard to be vulnerable in front of people whom you don't know.
Exactly.
But I think that vulnerability, whether it be one-on-one, you know, with someone that you're trying to connect with, or from a stage like that, at the end of the day, it's going to help somebody who needs to hear that message, and somebody who's struggling with something goes, oh, and I feel like this because I'm married to him, but oh my gosh, Corey Miller struggles with depression, or he sometimes feels sad and lonely. I do too.
Right.
He's really successful and he feels that way. Okay, maybe there's some hope, or maybe there's some camaraderie in that. And look, I even got chills like thinking about it. So I think the impact is more important than the like feelings of vulnerability.
Right.
The first time he did a talk on mental health was in 2015 at Denver. People were crying in the audience. I cried through almost the whole thing just because it was so raw and emotional. But I still hear people come up and talk to me and go, thank you. Like, thank you, Corey Miller, and, you know, thank your husband for doing that, because it does mean something. So yeah, there's this tightness in your stomach that goes, oh, I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want people to judge you. But if one person is helped by it, he has all the support in the world from me to go forth and do that.
That's so awesome. That's really great.
Yeah.
I was very glad to hear him talk on that. It was the same way in Raleigh. Everybody was really moved, and I think everybody really appreciated his honesty and his openness.
Have you heard that One Republic song? And I know, like, I'm not the coolest person in the world, and I was telling Max and some people at dinner last night, like, I'm not the coolest in music, but I love One Republic, and they are from Oklahoma. There's a song that they just released recently called Connection, and the premise of the song is, like, how can there be 1 billion people in the world and I can't find a connection? Oh, wow. And I feel like that in technology. Like, we feel so connected. We can talk to anyone we want to all day long. How can we still feel so lonely? And it's an epidemic. Loneliness is an epidemic that we're all facing because we're connected, and we just listened to Cammie's keynote. Yeah. And we're distributed workers. All of us. Seeing everybody online. But yeah, I still feel lonely sometimes. And I'm talking to people all day long. All day long. Yeah. You know?
Like today.
Yeah, like absolutely today. Yeah. Right. I mean, we're doing #booth life.
#booth life. #camp friends.
Yeah, but what I like are like the moments we had before the camera was on. That's what I live for, is like we're connected in like a really real way. Whereas, you know.
Where do we meet? Miami? At Camp Miami? How was it?
That's gonna be our anniversary.
That's right. Anniversary. So much fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So getting into like WordCamps, you know, and I know you spend a lot of time at WordCamps. What do you think is so important about WordCamps?
The connecting, right? Connecting, but educating and allowing all of ourselves to be a little bit of an expert. Like how, like, right? I think that's what is an expert? Knowing just a little bit more about one particular thing than someone else. And so we all get to come to WordCamps and help somebody. Like there are tons of people around us that need just a little bit of thing. Yeah, exactly. And my technical knowledge is stagnant at best. My bosses are probably listening to this and be like, she can't talk intelligently about server management. Sorry guys. Sorry guys, I probably can't. However, there are a lot of things that I can contribute to this community, and I can talk about business practices and creating recurring revenue, and I've given those talks at WordCamps, you know, and so like even I have something that people can benefit from. And so I think that's what's really neat, is like even if it's your first time at a WordCamp, you're bringing something from your background and your intelligence that you can share with other people. And I think that's what it's about.
I think it is too. Well, what benefits would you tell WordPress users if they've never been to a camp, or let's say they've never even heard of a camp, WordCamps? What would you tell somebody like somebody new like that? What would you tell them would be the reason to go to a camp?
The swag. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
I actually had someone today where I was like talking to him at the booth, and finally I was like, well, I mean, how can I help you? Because I was like trying to like get it out naturally. And he was like, well, I'm just kind of here for the loot. And I was like, okay.
Take on.
What would you like? But no, swag is also a cool thing. But inspiration. Right? Like, what are you working on? And again, like, take it back to isolation. Like, what are you working on by yourself in your office, and how much further can you go? And what are other people doing? And maybe it's also like finding others that can contribute to your business. Like, I'm hearing more and more, I'm a designer, but I need a developer. Or I have this idea, but I don't know how to implement it.
I don't know where to go with it.
And I think that's it. Like, sit down with somebody at lunch. What do you do? Oh, I'm actually looking for someone that can do this development for me. Or I'm a designer who wants to partner with other, you know? And I think that's it. So I think it's inspiration. I think it's, at the end of the day, building a business. Whatever that looks like.
Well, I think it's building a community too. I mean, you know, everybody needs help from somebody, and this is what's always amazed me about WordCamps is that, you know, you go to these places and normally you have businesses and they're very tight and they hold on to their information and they don't want to share. But I don't think I've ever been to a WordCamp where I've seen people like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see people sitting with laptops and working together, and people, you know, having good conversations about things that people may not have ever met before. And it's just amazing to me that people can collaborate like that. That's why I love WordPress. And,
me too.
And camps, but I like camps because camp friends.
I mean, it's inspiring. So
Absolutely.
I worked in politics. I had a consulting firm when I met Corey Miller.
Really?
And he was like, you need to put this online. You need to create a blog. You need to write about what you're doing. And I was like, what? What if other people learn about my secret fundraising things, you know? And the truth was there weren't any secret fundraising things. We all, not really, you know, and I still believe that. I still don't think there's anybody that has a secret sauce. I think some political consultants might disagree with me, but I've been out of the game for a long time now, so maybe there are new things that have come out. New secrets,
absolutely.
But there was this moment of where once I got to know him and his friends, some of Corey's best friends then and now are direct competitors. Like, and he'd always go, well, it's the WordPress space, like 1/3 of the internet is using it. Like there's enough business for all of us. We can be friends and we can help each other.
Absolutely.
And I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And it took me some time, but eventually I did the same thing in politics. And I reached across, not the aisle, so to speak, but I reached across other consultants who were serving the same type of political candidates that I was and went, you know, you're doing X service and I'm now doing websites. Can I do all the websites for your clients? And all of your clients can, you know, use this service, or whatever,
Gotcha.
And it was really eye-opening for me. That was like, okay, yeah, it's not a scarcity model, and we can help each other, and we can help direct competitors, right? Wordfence, for example, right? What? 10 years ago, I would have never talked to a Wordfence person.
I don't know who you're talking to.
No. But yeah, I mean, but that's the, I hate to say it this way, but that was the model he set out for his personal life, and taught me that. And honestly, like, as I believe he's been one of the leaders of the WordPress community, I think he's kind of set that stage to go, it doesn't matter if we're competitors or not, we're going to be friends. And he lived that himself.
I think that's our philosophy too, is like, as far as camps go especially, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, if it's, you know, a competitor or whatever, you know, there's always going to be that point where you didn't bring an Allen wrench, or you don't have this or whatever.
I never have any of those things.
I know, right? She takes them from us.
He's talking about me.
But that's the thing.
Just as an example.
It's all, example purposes only. Well, it's like, you know, we just all, you know, we all get up here and it's so much fun, like before the camp and after the camp when everybody's gone, and we're just like, you know, catching up or having fun. Had some of the best conversations. Of course, with you. They're always,
absolutely.
Always.
Well, even the other hosting companies. Like, I get along really well and spend my time outside of the camp with them. And it's not going to lead to sales for me at the end of the day, but I'm going to really enjoy my time with those people.
Absolutely.
And I was even asking advice of one of them today. And like, what should I do for like WordCamp US? Like, trying to come up with some really creative things. And we had some good ideas.
That's what you should do. That's totally what you should do.
Right.
All right. So what's one thing about WordPress, maybe about business in general, that you know now that you wish that you had knew about when you started working with WordPress, or working with, like, you know, in the hosting space and all that?
You know, I have a leg up, right? Because I really have been learning it by osmosis since almost the beginning, right? So it's 9, almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are some things? I don't know. Maybe I've seen things happen where you go do the content, do the stuff, publish the thing, publish the podcast, do the video, and I've seen that happen over and over and over again, where if you sit down and do the work, it actually will happen for you.
Right.
And so I think there is an eye-opening experience about that consistency. Even from the LiquidWeb side of just straight up content creation, we're led by this fabulous vice president of marketing named Terry Trout.
Right.
I'm going to be friends with her like for the rest of my life. She's brilliant and amazing. But she sends an email out to the entire company and says, here are all the blog posts that we've done, because we do internal writing stuff.
Gotcha.
And you get rewarded for doing your own post about your job and things like that. And she'll go, look who got jackets this month because they reached so many blog posts. But then shows the traffic. Here's where we were before we started doing this writing program, and before we also started doing more concerted paid efforts, right? Or bringing in WordPress influencers to do writing. But she shows the metric, and she's like, here's our Google Analytics snapshot, and just like shares that openly. And so you go, oh yeah, we always talk about it. Do the work, publish the things, put it out there. And she's really shown us as a company, if you do it, this is what happens. And like our blog traffic is crazy good right now, and it's getting better because we're still continuing that effort and staying after it.
But is it like still like the employees doing it, or are you talking about like,
it's
I
both.
thought you said it was like internal only.
Yeah,
but it's external too?
It's both. Yeah, so we have an internal writing program where the employees might do stuff in the knowledge base or on the blog. And is there another place that we do something? Somewhere else. Maybe there's 3 places where they write.
Maybe.
For, yeah. And then we also have like people like Jennifer Bourne who will write for us, Carrie Dills and Katie Ellenberger. Will do blog posts for us. And so, and all of that really, I mean, it's great to see the numbers of that and go, okay, yeah, I hear that at WordCamps all the time. Publish and do it, and the traffic will come. But like seeing it happen in that kind of way has been eye-opening.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to talk about?
What else do I want to talk about?
Absolutely.
I want to talk about you.
What? There's
How did you get
me.
started at Wordfence? How long have you been there?
Not about me.
He asked what I wanted to talk about.
Am I allowed to talk about that, Max?
Why not?
Okay. How did I get started in Wordfence?
Yeah.
Well, it's a fun story. I used to work for HGTV and Food Network. And I came in, yes.
I'm so glad I asked this question.
Why didn't you know that? I thought we already talked about this. Okay.
No.
So I worked for Food Network and HGTV for Scripps Networks, which runs those.
Well, so I knew the scripts. I didn't put it all together.
Yeah, that's what it
You didn't
is.
tell me the cool brands.
So I came in on the support desk, and basically on the support desk for the server side stuff, you got a chance to see what the networking team did, and you saw the Microsoft team and the Linux team, and you saw how everything kind of fit together. And there was a friend of mine, Chris Hall, who worked on the Linux team, and everything that was blog related went to Chris, and they were on movable type, which I'm not embarrassed to say was a horrible system. And it was really complicated, and so every blog ticket that came through, Chris had to do, and he was always not very pleased about it because it's just, not fun to do. And I called him Blog Boy all the time, picking on him. Blog Boy, oh Blog Boy, you have another ticket. Hey, Blog Boy. It was a lot of fun, but he was my friend. So one day he went out to lunch with the rest of the Linux guys, and a ticket came in, and it was something he did frequently. That was, I don't remember, it was kind of a little bit complex, but it just involved a lot of little steps you couldn't do remotely. And I called him on his cell phone. I said, Chris, man, this thing came in, and if you want, I'll be happy to do it for you. If you just tell me what the steps are, I'll do it for you here. And then that way you can stay, do lunch, you don't have to come back and everything like that. And he told me, and I did it. But I didn't understand that there was this unwritten law that said if you touch it, it's yours. So then I became the blog boy. And then I wound up working for Wordfence. And I'm sorry, working for that group, the Linux group. And then we got hacked. And we used Wordfence to clean it, and then just through that interaction, so I came.
Rest is history.
Yeah, rest is history.
Well, good. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
this
that's
is a
really
great
interesting.
podcast you have here.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, I like that.
So, anyway, this is Lindsey Miller, and she's my awesome camp friend, and I love her dearly, and her husband. I have to say that.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool too. So that's it. Are we wrapping?
Thanks for having me.